I've got tea. In fact, I've drank 2 cups already. But I wish I was on the wine. What time is it? It's 8:30 in the morning at the moment. Yeah, okay, so I love Glasgow, and I've always felt a pull towards Glasgow, actually. In fact, I went for an interview here to the Glasgow School of Art when I was 18, and I got a place here, but I also got a place in London at Goldsmiths, and it was a big decision. Which one do I want to go to? Where's my life going to go? And I decided to go to London, but I always had this place in my heart for Glasgow, and I always felt that hopefully one day that I would live there. I'm getting nervous already. But I think there's something romantic about Glasgow. I love the architecture. It's filled with amazing tenement buildings and the sort of the blonde sandstone and the red sandstone. Beautiful old sort of very grand buildings, because it was a really, really busy city when the shipbuilding was going on, and in Victorian times it was even more populated than London is now. Yeah, I just wanted to go somewhere that had a really exciting art scene, that was a city. It's got a really exciting music history as well. Yeah. And I just felt this kind of pull to it. I wasn't really sure why. But since arriving, yeah, we love it here. There's a lot of open space, and you're so near to big mountains and Loch Lomond, and you can access all of that wonderful wilderness and countryside so easily. Life is just so much easier than London life, and it's what I need now. And for the last few years in London, I did start to feel quite trapped. Yeah, and I feel there's a more of a bohemian and kind of relaxed feeling to the city, because there isn't this massive financial pressure. You know, the rent and cost of living is so much cheaper than it is in London. No one's talking about how they're going to get on the property ladder. Everyone's just living their lives, and the studio buildings are incredible as well, because there's a lot of derelict old sort of industrial buildings, warehouses, because of the shipbuilding heritage of the city and the industry, which kind of all died out. So now the artists are moving into these spaces, but and you know, things like getting on the train or the bus, Glaswegian people will always come and say hello and ask you about what you're up to. Everyone's really, really friendly, and there's just yeah, there's no sort of pomposity. Definitely the lack of money and wealth, like wealth and money is so strong in London. Even just seeing like the financial capital on the horizon, you just have this sense that there's this city's full of money, but it's full of inequality as well. Whereas in Glasgow, it just feels like it's people just getting on with their lives, and they support each other. And there is a different kind of politics in Scotland as well, and that drew me to it. It's a much more caring feel, sort of caring about other people in the community. And I think that probably comes from the history as well. Yeah, yeah. I'll just rewind a little bit as well and say a little bit more about London. The fact that it does have an amazing creative and artistic community, and it is also a very supportive community, and it's really colourful, and so many people are doing really exciting things. But there is this sort of a pressure all the time on that group of people. But yeah, to go to talk about that work. All my work is kind of autobiographical. It's very personal, although it extends out into this sort of social commentary and political commentary. Those are things that have affected me personally and that I feel really strongly about. So at the time I was a single parent living with my son, and the rent in London is really, really high. And I started sort of looking in estate agents' windows and just thinking, how are these people selling these places that look horrible in the estate agents' windows? The imagery, they don't have to even really try and sell the properties. There's probably like, I don't know, a horrible old sofa or a bed in the corner. The images are really dark and dreary. And then they say the descriptive language is something like stunning 2-bedroom apartment. You know, just the language that the estate agents use, and then the price of it is just shocking. And yeah, so then this piece was probably the culmination of all of those smaller studies of the interiors. I kind of reduced it down to just the bare basics. So it's just the toilet, the bed, and the bare light bulb. Yeah. And the bare light bulb became a motif that featured in lots of the paintings. And then I not all of them have got text on, but this one had text on it, and it's painted onto an old bed sheet. And that's something that comes up a lot in my work, that I use. The materials that I use to paint on are really important to me because they add to the story. I mean, that was just absolutely incredible. Getting an email from Banksy. Yeah. It was just like one Friday evening, I just opened up my laptop. My friend was staying with me, my friend from New York, and I was like, oh my God, I think I've just got an email from Banksy. And then I was just like running around the kitchen going, I can't believe it, can't believe it, can't believe it. So I just wrote back saying, yeah, I'd love to be a part of this, because it was quite cryptic, just saying, I'm doing an exhibition, do you want to be part of it? I'm doing a show, do you want to propose some work to make for it? So I'd already had the idea about subverting the estate agent signs, but I wasn't quite sure what it was going to look like. And I thought, well, this is my opportunity to really, really create something which will say the message in a really bold and kind of simplistic way. Okay, so I realised I was a fairy about age 19. There were 4 of us. We grew up together. We met when we were 9 in a small town in the Midlands called Leamington Spa, and we'd always been the best of friends. It just developed, and our house was called the Palace of Pink Dreams. The message was, if you believe in your dreams and if you believe in something enough, and you can make it happen. Because we always used to say, it's not the fairies that are going to make the wish come true, it's you. So we were like the catalyst or the trigger for the person being granted the wish to then go and make it happen. And we then formed a band. That was after we realised we were fairies. We formed a band and we were called the Fairies Band. And I thought, what can I do that's something to do with something that I love? And I love music, and those album covers are ones that kind of stay in my visual memory bank. And I just wanted to paint 50, and I also wanted to do something, because my work can be quite heavy and political, and all of that is quite emotionally exhausting. Like when I finished that housing work, I was so drained, and I thought, I have to give myself permission to make work about other things as well. It's about something that I love and something that I enjoy, and I love that they're miniatures as well, that it's just something that can be held in your hand, and it's something precious. So yeah, the idea was to paint 50 albums. I only got to 34, and then I kind of ran out of steam, but it's not to say that I'm not going to paint all 50, but when I first started painting them, obviously I wasn't expecting there to be these bigger prints, and then you asked me and I was so excited to have my work in Melbourne. Then when you sent me the bigger print, I was like, oh my God, these little paintings are going on like a sort of a cycle, on a little journey. They come back the size of the original album, and then to see the detail and the brush strokes and everything. prints have become their own thing. It's like a reproduction of the painting, artwork. Each album is very important to me as well. And in terms of how I painted it, I really quite like Pulp Different Class, because that's
great.
The image of the wedding scene. And that was the thing, actually, when I was painting Patti Smith horses. Yeah, I was looking at thinking, oh God, this just looks like really bad fan art. This will be the thing that kind of unites them. That I add like the googly eyes. Just adds a bit of humour, but also that kind of googly eye motif. I've been looking at a lot of outsider artists and, you know, sort of quite simplistic way of painting, and a lot of people do use that as a way to paint eyes, so it's kind of a reference to them as well. I'll try not to talk too long about this, but yeah, after the housing work, I was so emotionally drained by that way of making work, and I thought, I don't want to do anything political. Yeah. And I just moved to Glasgow, just absorbed my new surroundings and just tried to take a deep breath in. And then I started wanting to like paint the everyday moments, the ritual, the routine. I'm really fascinated by that, the sort of things that would be considered quite mundane, but when you zoom in on them, they're quite surreal, and I just find them really interesting. So also it's to think about what have I got available to me at the moment, and for the last couple of years I've got 2 young children, I've got not much time, I also work a job as well, so I paint in the evenings and I take these little bits of cardboard, so they're simplistic, they're very quickly painted, and they're just of little moments. But those little figures came from a drawing by Louise Bourgeois, well, a series of drawings called Femme Maison, and it was when she had 3 young children, and she drew her body being overtaken by a house, as if like domesticity and the domestic was completely just overtaking her. So I did a few pieces where it's like body parts hanging off washing lines, or my head like popping out of a drying rack of clothes, things like that. So it is initially inspired by Louise Bourgeois, and then I thought, actually, I'll just start doing the little figures, so it's not the body parts, it's the little figures, and I probably will do some more on that theme. Those things are like the foundation of everybody's lives, and especially like going through this lockdown weird scenario that we're all experiencing, those things become more prominent as well. Listen, it's really hard for me to choose a favourite biscuit, because, you know, one week I might like a pink wafer, the next week I might fancy a custard cream, sometimes I might just want a chocolate digestive. I've chosen milk chocolate cookies, ones from Sainsbury's, ones that are all gooey, because I do love these. But then I also bought some shortbread, and I find it hard to commit, but I've committed. I've committed to the gooey milk chocolate. Okay. Oh, thank you so much for inviting me to be interviewed and to have my work with you in your amazing new gallery in Melbourne. Bye, lots of love.